Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasuranandana Braja Janaranjana Jasuranandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yasuranandana Brajajanaranjana Yasuranandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki Sri Radha Giridhari ki Jai srimadbhagavatam ki Jai Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jaja Shodhar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Advai Charanada Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jaja Shodhar Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosam Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Samaveda Bhakti ki Jai Gaura Premanandi all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Vishnu Padaya Krishna Mastaya Vishnu Bhakti Vedanta Swami Gauravani Pracharini Vashesha Shanyavadi Pasyatari Shatarini. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the fourth canto, 19th chapter, starting with text 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat. So, you ready? Can you see from over there? Okay, very nice. Yani Rupani Jagrihe Indrohaya Jihirshaya Thani Papasya Khandani Lingam Khandam Ihochayate Hochate Yani Rupani Jagrihe Indrohaya Jihirshaya Tani Papasya Khandani Lingam Khandam Ihocchate Yani Rupani Jagrihe Indrohaya Jihirshaya Tani Papasya Khandani Khandani Lingam Khandami Hochyate. Anyone like to chant? Yani Rupani Jagrihe Indrohaya Jihirshaya Tani Papasya Khandani Lingam Khandami Hochyate. You got it right. There's a long A though. That's it, the last A. The last A is long. Khandani. Indrohaya Jihirshaya Tani Papasya Khandani Lingam Khandam Irhochate. Anyone else? They done? Okay. So this is the word for word. Yani, all those which. Rupani, forms. Jagrihe, accepted. Indraha, the king of heaven. Haya, the horse. Jihirshaya, with a desire to steal. Tani, all those. Papasya, of sinful activities. Khandani, signs. Lingam, the symbol. Khandam, the word khanda. Iha, here. Uchate, is said. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Whatever different forms Indra assumed as a mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were symbols of atheistic philosophy. It's interesting. Please repeat. Whatever different forms Indra assumed as a mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were symbols of atheistic philosophy. According to Vedic civilization, sannyas is one of the essential items in the program of the Vana Ashram institution. One should accept sannyas according to the parampara system of the acharyas. At the present moment, however, many so-called sannyasis or mendicants have no understanding of God consciousness. Such sannyas was introduced by Indra because of his jealousy of Maharaj Prithu. And what he introduced is again appearing in the age of Kali. Practically none of the sannyasis in this age are bona fide. No one can introduce a new system into the Vedic way of life. If one does so out of malice, he is to be known as a pasandi or atheist. In the Vaishnava Tantra it is said, Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Urudhaini Daivataha Samatvanaiva Bhiksheta Sapasandi Bhavedrum. Although it is forbidden, there are many pasandis who coin themselves like Dirija Narayan and Swami Narayan. although not even such demigods as Brahma and Shiva can be equal to Narayan. Excuse me, a little water. Amagyandimirandasya gyananjana salakaya Chaksulun minitam dena taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashati Gaur Bhakti Barinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Banja Kalpataru Bhashya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavi Gaur. Whatever different forms Indra assumed as a mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were symbols of atheistic philosophy. So Prabhupada in the beginning is saying that the sannyas is an essential item in the program of Varna and Ashram institution. All the orders are there, all the varnas and ashrams, but what's the conclusion? What's the reason for being participating in the varna and ashram system? Ultimately, it's to go back home, back to Godhead, and that is the symbol of that is sannyas. One who's renounced this world and is going back home, back to Godhead. So you can say all the other ashrams and varnas, they're meant to bring one to that point of going back home, back to Godhead. And actually there's that verse in one of the Puranas about Vanashrama Charyavata, that it's to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why you're engaged in Varna and Ashram according to one's proclivities and spiritual advancement. One will find themselves somewhere in the Varnashram system, following that system. Why? Gradual development of Vairagya Vidya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga, to teach Vairagya and Vidya and the process of devotional service. That's the real conclusion of Varna and Ashram, the goal of Varna and Ashram. Beginning with this whole incident with King Indra, these false sannyas orders have been introduced. It's part of the scene in Kali Yuga is cheating, right? That's the scene. Everyone's being cheated. Manda sumanda matayo. Everyone's a fool. Well, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said that it's a society of the cheaters and the cheated. You know the example he gave about that? He says so many women, they go to holy places thinking they'll have a child by a sadhu. It'll be a very nice child. And so many sadhus, people who aren't sadhus, go to the holy places disguising themselves as sadhus, thinking all these women are coming here thinking I'm a sadhu. It's a society of cheaters and cheated. So that's Kali Yuga. Bhagavatam, what does that say? Kaitava Dharma, cheating religion. It's devoid of any type of cheating religion. It's just telling you exactly what the perfection of religion is. Sarvam dharmam parityajya mamekam sharanam brajaham tvam sava papebhyo mokshishami mahasuchaha. Krishna says that right there in the end of the Bhagavad Gita. That all of these so-called dharmas means, duties. Oh, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to do this. But what's the real dharma we should be doing? We can even look at that in our day-to-day life. Just like devotees should be, at kirtan, at Bhagavatam class, greeting the deities, all these different things on time, and participating, unless they have a superior dharma that they should be performing, cooking an offering or deity worship or something. Must be very, very careful that one's doing the most important dharma. Like the Christians have that saying. There's an acronym for it. What would Jesus Christ do? What is that? There you go, WWJD. So, how would you say, what would Srila Prabhupada do? WWSPD? Right. What would Srila Prabhupada do? What would my spiritual master do? Or what would Krishna want me to do? So I make a t-shirt like that, sell at Rath Yatra. You can make enough money to go to India. There you go. Picture Prabhupada and WWSPD. What would Prabhupada do? So, Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, what it is that anything that does not foster pure devotional service, that is adharma. That's adharma. Now, even the whole Varnashram system, it's meant to foster devotional service. Now, there's a slow path and there's the fast path. That's understood, but as long as you're moving slowly or quickly on the same path, but at least you're getting there, heading in the right direction. It's when speed isn't everything, because you may be going very fast in the wrong direction. Right? What's the point of that? Going very, very fast in the wrong direction. Well, some people may think that's kind of neat, I'm going so fast, but first check and see if you're going in the right direction. So that's what sannyas is meant to do, and the sannyasis are the teachers of all the varnas and ashrams, setting the standard and showing the way. Not that they're telling everyone everyone should be a sannyasi. That's not the point, but everyone should be working in that direction. And even sannyas, in the Bhagavad Gita, had I known this was the verse, Bhagavad Gita, the last chapter, Arjuna asked Krishna, what's the definition of sannyas? What is the definition of sannyas? Is it a change of cloth or this or that? And actually Krishna responds that it's the giving up the enjoying mentality of the fruits of one's activities. That's real sannyas. And one gives up materialistic activities and the desire to enjoy the fruits of those activities. Just saying, Prabhupada set that example, and Rupa Goswami set that example with his famous verse about how everything should be engaged in the service of the Lord, and if you don't, that's Maya. And like the impersonalists, they think, I'll avoid all of this. No, you should. Everything is meant to be engaged in the Lord's service. That's the proper utilization. That's Palgu Vairagya. What does Palgu mean? False. There's a river in India called the Palgu River. You look at it, it looks dry. But when you go down and just dig a little bit, it's water running right underneath right on the soil there. The whole river's been like that since time immemorial, practically, I guess, because it's referred to as Palgu, false river. But it's water there. So Palgu, or false renunciation, is giving up this material world, giving up things that are in relationship to Krishna, which is everything. That's false renunciation. So real renunciation is utilizing everything in the service of the Lord. So that is what real renunciation is, and one can be very, very renounced in any order, any social order, any ashram order, when they understand that. And of course, sannyas is one who takes sannyas is supposed to be already on that platform. That's why they're able to take sannyas. They're just no longer interested. Prabhupada said they don't have a program for enjoying in the material world. We all have a program. Some are very, very big and ostentatious, and some are very, very quiet and small, but every living entity from Lord Brahma down to the insignificant insect or ant has a program for enjoying in the material world. You know what the ant's program is? Yeah, I got to find a piece of sugar. Ants are intoxicated most of the time, you know that? They get a buzz from that sugar. It turns to alcohol in their body. And they're just like, so maybe all these people get intoxicated. That's why there's so many ants. Maybe that's why there's so many ants. All these intoxicated people in Kali Yuga to come back as ants. It's a lot easier just to have a little sugar than have to go to a bar and drive home and get in a car accident. I wonder if ants get in accidents. They bump. See them bumping into each other? Maybe that's what it is. You watch ants, they're always bumping into each other, probably intoxicated. They can't even walk straight. So, the ant has its program, and Lord Brahma has his program. It's a whole universe. He's enjoying the whole universe. So anyways, the sannyas order disturbed in Kali Yuga. That's symbols of the atheistic philosophy. So as soon as this cheating mentality becomes very prominent in Kali Yuga, everything becomes topsy-turvy. Everything. That's why it's so hard to talk to people. Everyone's got their own idea and this and that. And there's no standard, and it's just it's a hodgepodge in Kali Yuga. And not that anyone's happy by doing that. No one's really happy or achieving any real lasting happiness in the name of just doing whatever you want to do. Yattamat tattapat. As many people, as many paths. They've even made a philosophy. One sannyas made a philosophy of it. One mission in India made a philosophy of it. Yattapat and mattapat. Whatever you think, that's your path. Well, how about if my path is to think your path is nonsense? Right? Is that my path is right? So it's a ridiculous philosophy that whatever you think is right and whatever I think is right. I mean, that's like so devoid of any intelligence. It's very popular in Kali Yuga. Manda samanda matayo. So, it says here, no one can introduce any new system into the Vedic way of life. It's outside the Vedic way of life. The Krishna consciousness were presenting, just like the other day, the other class I gave a week ago, it came up about, there are so many different movements and how big ISKCON is, and there are many swamis and yogis and TV evangelists and preachers all over the world of so many different varieties of religion, a huge followings, millions of followers, but they're outside the Vedic way of life. And that's probably why they have so many followers. You probably get an example, if you have a diamond store, you're not going to have too many people go in there. Why is that? Because diamonds are very expensive, but they're the real thing. That's the real thing. Whereas next door you can have a cosmetic jewelry store, and it's packed full of people because it's made out of plastic and things like. It looks like diamonds, but it's not diamonds. So it's very lucrative, very attractive. It's quite popular to make up your own spiritual path in the age of Kali, even right down to people say, I've got my own path, right? I don't need to be churched or templed or preached. I got my own path. Everyone's got their own path. As if that means they have no idea what spiritual life is. Spiritual life means to become in tune, in harmony with that path that's already existing, the greater reality. The greater reality. So that's the best path. That's the best path. Just like if you look at a map and half the roads are missing, what kind of map is that? Right? What kind of map is that? Only half the roads are there. So good luck getting somewhere, right? And so, just like these new apps, they tell you, if there's construction, if there's an accident, alternate routes, right? You use your Google Maps. It's really nice. They tell you, okay, you go on this way because there's been an accident here, or this or that. And so say the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the clear Vedic instructions are the best path because it gives you a complete understanding of the whole cosmic situation. And Prabhupada said, what is knowledge? To know what matter and spirit and the controller of both. So Bhagavad Gita is such a wonderful explanation of reality. The Supreme Lord, the soul, karma, the material energy, time, everything's in there. Very, very clearly explained in 700 verses. Give us a better explanation of reality, right? There's people, they ask them, well, what is your explanation of reality? What is the goal? So Garuda Prabhu was giving a class, and he said when he was in Boston, there was one of the big, most famous scholars of Buddhism, and a practicing Buddhist, was there. Of Shiva, Lord Shiva, a Shaivite. Okay, that was a Shaivite. And they were going together. I don't know if he was bringing him to speak, or both were going to go speak some big, a lecture or something like that. So they're driving through Boston, and he turned to him and he said, what is the goal of the Shaivite path? Is it something personal, something impersonal? And the point he made is the man couldn't even answer. He just kind of tried to wiggle out of it. In other words, don't even know. Here he is, the big scholar, one who's supposed to know the Shaivite path better than anyone else, and he couldn't give a clear answer what it is. Couldn't even say. Now, what's the goal? You ask people, what's the goal? If you're going to work so hard on this particular path, what is the goal? Where do you land up when you attain perfection? That's a question to ask people. Whatever they're doing. Whether they're atheist or a Christian or a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Hare Krishna or anyone, or they have their own path. So ask them. And it'll fall into three categories. Well, it probably won't fall into three categories. Or it won't fall into pure devotional service. Most likely they won't say that. Oh, I want to attain pure devotional service. It's going to be some karma, it's going to be some jnana or some mystic perfection or something like that. But going back home, back to the spiritual world for eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, fully engaged in the Lord's loving devotional service. Who says that? Except devotees. Who says that? Mostly they want to go to heaven, some place where there's no suffering, some place where you can simply enjoy, right? That's what they say. That's what they say. And that's just karma, temporary karma. So the point is, people who make things up, they're described in this verse as pasandis. And as pasandi means atheist, many times it's done, and we read last week that long definition by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Jiva Goswami. Pasandi sa pasandi bhaved drubham. One who thinks that the demigods are all equal to Narayan, which means actually all of us are equal to Narayan. We're all something impersonal. Sa pasandi. Such a person is an atheist, for sure. Bhaved dhruvam. No doubt about it. Such a person is an atheist. That's what the conclusion of the Vedic line is. So people say, all the gods are the same. You're an atheist. You're an atheist according to the Vedas. It's not true at all. And unfortunately, it's very, very popular. That's Neo-Hinduism. All the gods. Right? Krishna, Ram, Durga, Shiva, like that. Sometimes when I do puja, sometimes I'll ask them, who's your Ishtadev? And they go, oh, Brahma, Shiva, this, that, I said, no. The form of the Supreme Lord that you worship. Oh, Hanuman and Durga. I said, no, the form of the Supreme Lord. It gives me a chance to preach to them. I said, those are devatas. Oh, no, those are devatas. Who is the form, like Narayan or Krishna or Ram, not a Singha? You get a chance to preach them. But they're all thinking, oh, no, and sometimes I say, who do you want me to worship? Oh, as many as you can, they say. Make sure you worship Durga and Ganesh. So let's just worship Krishna. Everything's included. All 33 million demigods. You worship Krishna. They never heard this before. They're card-carrying Hindus and they never heard it before. Like that. So, it's quite interesting. It's the age of Kali. Darija Narayan, Swami Narayan. This is the age of Kali. Everything is the cheating and the illusion and the ignorance is very, 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 very strong. So we have Indra to thank for that. Right? As we pointed out in the class last week, that when someone becomes bogaishvaya prasaktanam, when they become bewildered by the desire to enjoy in this material world and the opulences and so on, they do crazy things. So this is what happened. He lost control due to fear that Prithu would take over his position. He's very, very attached to it, the loss of all that sense enjoyment, and he started doing crazy things, just like we see people do that all the time. Even to the point of killing other people, right? They're going to take what I have, I'm going to kill them. Krishna explains that right in the Bhagavad Gita, right? The divine and demoniac natures. He says, the demoniac person thinks, so much I have and I want more. More and more in the future. He is my enemy, I have killed him. Right? He's my enemy and I have killed him. So even to the point of taking the life of another living entity, just because, not because he's a bad person or he tried to hurt someone else, you're protecting someone, just because they're in the way. Isn't that amazing? People get so blinded. And it happens not on an individual level, but on a whole social level. Right? What do they call it? Genocide? Just wipe out a whole race of people because they're in your way. They're in your way. You don't like the way they look, like that. Yeah, it's an amazing feature of this material world. How powerful is Krishna's Maya that people could do something like that. So, and that's the pushing of the modes of nature. That's very, very strong. Just like now, this time of year. You been to the beach recently? This time of year the waves are very, September they start rolling in the big sets of waves. You can't really go swimming and so on. It's how strong that water is, the current and the waves. Not something to play around with. So in the same, the waves of this material nature are very, very, very strong, and to force conditioned souls to do things like this. So it's part of the Kali Yuga. It's part of the Kali Yuga, and even in the name of spirituality, people say so many ridiculous, foolish, hurtful things, ridiculous things. So I guess the bottom line is we have to preach Krishna consciousness, distribute Prabhupada's books. Give people the real information. Like that. And it says that, all of these things, and in that description of autumn chapter, it says these different philosophies and yogis, which are all over the place. Did you ever grow up in a place where you had fireflies at night? Buzzing around, little fireflies. You don't have them there, huh? Little bugs, they light up at night. You see them crying and flying around your backyard and all that, fireflies. Sometimes people put them in a jar for a little while. So the Bhagavatam compares all of these yogis and all that to, they look, wow, that's very interesting. All these light up all over the place. But the Vedic, when the great acharyas come, it's like the sun rising, and what's the significance of a firefly? Nothing in comparison to the sun. But in the absence of the sun, they're quite prominent and attractive to people. So we have to preach Krishna consciousness very enthusiastically, and just hear Prabhupada's books and Prabhupada's teachings. And then these fireflies, which are attracting everyone's attention, no one will be attracted. No one will be attracted like that. So, is that okay for class? Did you get a lot of vegetables cut? Should we stop now? Do we have any questions or comments from this August assembly of devotees? Yes. You want a microphone in one hand well, it's got to go online so people can hear you ask the question. There's about 1,000 people listening to this class. Okay. Here, take this. New speakers?
No, maybe because when you get the microphone close. I guess this is better.
So, okay. Just trying to formulate how to say it. So we were saying when the acharya comes, all the yogis and hodgepodge things, so sometimes devotees ask things like this, like, well, Kali Yuga seems like it's getting very, very dark. There's not, much sunshine. But, after Prabhupada disappeared, things, became more difficult. So then, why doesn't Krishna send another representative, very quickly? Why does he wait for some time for it to kind of, difficulties to come, and then why doesn't he just send another one?
So that's a good question. Why doesn't Krishna just take care of everything right now? So one thing is, you have to understand that Krishna is taking into consideration everything. Devotees have their desires, but the non-devotees have their desires too. And Krishna's in their heart also. And the age of Kali is their age. They've been waiting 3 ages for this age. When are we going to be able to break out and do any darn sinful thing we want to do? Satya Yuga we couldn't do it. Treta Yuga we couldn't do it. Dwapara Yuga. It's like the bottom of the barrel. So that's also there. That it is the Kali Yuga. It is the time for the atheists and so on. They've got to get it out of their system. So Krishna allows for that. And as far as Krishna knows everything past, present, and future. And in due course of time, everything will take place. Also, just like they asked, why didn't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread Krishna consciousness all over the world? Why just India? And Prabhupada said, he left the rest of the world for us. We have some preaching to do. Right? In other words, we should understand that Prabhupada's presence in his books and his teachings is sufficient to deliver everyone in the age of Kali. It's just a matter of distribution. So we have some work to do. In other words, if we're thinking, why doesn't Krishna just take care of everything so I can just, drink sweet rice and say Hari Bol? I have nothing to do. So one has to be careful. In other words, there's a lot of work to be done, and that work is Krishna's mercy upon us. And the Acharya is here, Prabhupada in his books. And in due course of time, others will come according as Krishna desires. Just like, sometimes they ask, Prabhupada was asked, why did he wait so long to come to America? Why did Krishna wait so long to send you to America? Prabhupada, one time he said you weren't ready. You're not ready. And that kind of has something to do with the first part of the answer, was it is Kali Yuga, and people have their desires, and Krishna allows them to fulfill those desires. That's part of being God. You can't force people, and it's the Kali Yuga. But there's plenty of Krishna consciousness to be spread, and it's working. Not that we're going to stop the age of Kali, but for those who take shelter of Prabhupada's instructions and the pure Vedic instructions, then they'll be protected from the age of Kali. They won't at all be attracted by the firefly philosophies, right? They'll give them up. So that's another thing too. They'll give them up. So, did that answer your question? Yeah.
Can I just add? It was just making me think of the example that we just read about when King Prithu was milking Mother. Just to validate or give an example of the point you just made about Krishna's supplying for everybody. But when King Prithu was milking the earth for the sustenance of everybody in the planetary systems, like even the demons, the Mother Earth, she gave milk or sustenance for the demons as well. So that's just that's the example I thought of when you mentioned that.
So there's all these philosophies that misguide people. There's a verse somewhere that says that they're like alligators or something in the waters, and so they misguide people and they steal away the goal of life and all these things. But it seems like generally people are more or less innocent, and then what causes them to be misled? Is it just bad fortune, or is it bad karma from activities, or what causes them to be so misled by these philosophies? Like I was thinking in relation, there was one boy from University of Nevada, Reno, and I met him and stopped him on the campus, and we had like a long discussion, and he was amazing, like very ripe fruit sort of thing. He was already reading the Bhagavad Gita, like a hodgepodge kind of translation. It wasn't so bad, but a different Gita. And I gave him Bhagavatam, and he immediately started reading Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. And then I said, meet us today at the end of the day for a program, and we'll do like a program on campus meditation. So we did kirtan and everything, and we talked for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just like all the philosophy, very direct, everything. You know, spiritual world is like this, and Vaikuntha, and he was totally into it. And then we went on a hike, and just like, you know, he was asking, really seriously inquiring, asking all these questions. And it seemed like he would really seriously take to Krishna consciousness. And we were keeping in touch, texting, you know, how's it going? Oh, I'm chanting a few rounds a day, every day. You know, I'm reading Bhagavatam, I'm almost finished, you know, all these things. And then I texted him one time, I said, after a while, you know, it'd been a few months or something, like a month or two. I said, hey, Matt, how's it going? And he said, oh, I'm doing great. I'm going to Southern California to do a monk retreat. I was like, really? Where? You know, he said, oh, the Vedanta Society. I thought, oh, God. You're kidding me. And then I tried to pull it, you know, I was like, no, just come to our temple. We actually have a monk retreat. Like, we do it all the time. It's really fun. You'd really love it. And you know us. You don't know them, you know, so it'd be a lot better. And he seemed like he was into it. But then I just never heard back from him. Myself and Ananda Kirtan, the other brahmachari that was like helping kind of guide him, just never heard back from him. So it seems like either he went there or he just like kind of gave up. Or so what causes someone to be misled by like those alligator philosophies?
One way to answer that is sometimes you hear they interview professional thieves, and they actually write books about this. And one thing they always say is that you can't cheat someone unless they want to be cheated. You know, like gamblers, grafters, people like that. People want something for nothing. Those kind of people you can cheat. You can, you know, people want, hey, here's a Rolex watch, you know, it's $200 instead of $1,200. Wow, I'll buy that. It's a fool. He wants something for nothing. So the point is, in this, And sometimes Prabhupada, just like that famous story with Giriraj Maharaj, when Giriraj Maharaj first met Srila Prabhupada and asked him about, this path of Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada said, as far as what's bona fide, what do you want? Do you want to serve God or do you want to be God? And they had a whole discussion, and he said Prabhupada, knew exactly where he was at. He said he could actually felt that he had looked right through him, right to his bathroom. Because on his bathroom mirror, he had a sign that said, "You are God," or something, because he was reading those kind of books. So, what's going on in a person's heart, that's part of it. Now, taking that in consideration, we have to be very careful to give people good association, because their faith is very, very pliable, because the material desires are swooshing around in their heart and their brain and so on. But ultimately, people will go... they have those desires. So that's why people have become purified. Cheto darpana marjanam bhavamaha davagni davapanam. The whole forest fire of material existence, it will be extinguished as the heart becomes purified. Then one just no longer has those desires. But that's why executing devotional service and a devotee association and taking prasadam. But, there's that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but... can't make him take prasad, right? If he just doesn't want to. So, and sometimes it looks like people are just like fired up and into it, but at a certain point, they're forced to make a decision, and where they're really at comes out, in the sense that they're not ready. I guess we should say that. They're not ready, because of the so many material desires and so on. Because, Krishna consciousness, the bottom line is, what is that? Bhaja bhaja bhai chaitanya nitai sudrida bishvashkori bishaya chadya zera se majaya muke bolo hari hari. Such an easy process. Kevalananda kanda, but you have to give up sense gratification, which is in the form of karma and gyan. Gyan is a type of sense gratification. The belief that we're all God, that's a real sense gratification. So devotional service is devoid of that. So if you don't want to give up that concept, or you're not ready to give up that concept, it's understandable why people keep their distance. They're not really sure. They kind of disappear or go somewhere else. And sometimes it's a shocker. You think, wow, that person's not only coming to the temple, but someone's moved into the temple and been here for quite some time, and all of a sudden they just really couldn't give up that desire to enjoy the material world. It's deep. What deep-rooted means? Deep-rooted, like trees are so deep. They say many trees, if you look at the branches up above, the root system is almost a mirror of that. So you can imagine how extensive the root systems are. So to pull up those roots are not an easy thing. So that's something to consider. Did that answer your question? I mean, we still preach. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes it's disappointing. You spend a lot of time with people, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. They're just not interested or whatever. But we still preach. Still keep preaching, and sooner or later, the hope is they come back around, and there's other people, and the devotees, all we can do is preach, and it's like the seeds, like a gardener. He just distributes the seeds, and then it's up to the sun and the rain and the earth for something to grow. But he's a gardener. He's just distributing, and those who can take it will take it. It's really between the jiva and Krishna. The devotee is facilitating. And just like in that nice prayer to Lord Jagannath, it says, he bestows the opportunity for devotional service upon all godly souls. It doesn't say he gets people in a half Nelson and forces them to the ground to offer obeisances. You will worship me. No, he says he gives the opportunity for devotional service to all godly souls. So the spiritual master, Krishna, the devotees are giving everyone the opportunity for devotional service. That's all we can do. Just get the opportunity. But it's an amazing medicine. It works miraculously and can completely change a person's heart, even overnight, if they're ready. So we can end here. Or any other questions or comments?
It's just a small comment, and maybe you could say something further about it. But I was just thinking about how astounding it is to see the way that the illusory potency moves people. It's like, because there one time, this was just maybe a week and a half ago, but Dravida Prabhu was giving a Bhagavad Gita class, and these two people had came in, and they sat down, and not even 5 minutes they were sitting, and then they just get up and leave. So it's like that just really proved to me how Maya forces people to go who aren't, or just forces them to move. Like it's like they don't have any control. It's like they don't have any actual say in what they do or don't do. I guess I don't know. It just.
We don't learn how to control our mind and senses. We're in a tough situation.
Yeah.
For anything, but especially spiritual life. That's why the beginning is Dhamma. Dhamma means, control of the senses. We have to control our senses. Otherwise, you don't get anything done, but especially in spiritual life. So that's a nice example. An example given is also when that musician Donovan came to visit Prabhupada in London, came with his girlfriend, and he was somewhat interested. And they're right across from Prabhupada, talking, and his girlfriend kept nudging him. I said, I don't like it here. So he finally excused himself and left with his girlfriend. Pulled away. Yeah. The take home is we're all in the same boat. We have to be careful. So our mind, the example in the Bhagavad Gita is like a boat swept away by the wind. The boat is there. If it's not moored or anchored or whatever, and the wind comes and the sail is out, it goes. It just goes. Blows, just takes it away. So I have to be very, very, very careful. The mind and senses. And it says not to trust them, just like you don't trust a snake or a wild animal. You put a wild animal in a cage, you think, oh, it's nice and tame now. No, it is not. They have all these, every once in a while you hear news of some lion tamer or this or that, got a little too close, and what happened? It's a wild animal. You can never trust it, so you can never trust the mind. You just take over. So be very, very careful. Okay. All glories to the Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to Prithu Maharaj. All glories to the vegetable cutters in New Govardhan. Hare Krishna.